Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Bayishim, Baraka Kodash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bayishim, Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to Ya'akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the Brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'll be profiling a little bit of this video from the Israeli News Live YouTube channel titled, What Are Government Sources Saying About Coming Disasters? And as you'll see from the little clip I'll be profiling, hey, the scriptures of Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai are true and leaping off the pages because everything Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai said would happen is taking place right before our very eyes. These elites, these Rothschilds, these Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Gettys, the Merovingians, you name it, are getting prepared to go to their hiding places for when all hell breaks loose, and they think that after the dust settles, they're going to be able to come back to the surface and fully rule in their new world order. But that's not going to happen. Once the mark of the beast, which is the RFID/NFC microchip implant, is mandatorily implemented, you're going to have the hour of temptation afterwards, and then after that, the second coming of Yahushai HaMashiach, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus Christ, who's coming to save the elect of his people and his people only, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who are the true children of Israel, as well as the Israelite foreigners who look like these heathen nations, and to put the final nail in the coffin of the rulership of the heathens, chiefly you Edomites, or so-called white people, and you elites are going to be the first ones gathered up by the elect to serve hardcore bondage and slavery, cleaning up this planet which you helped to ruin, as well as building up the kingdom of heaven. And I got the idea to do this video from the elder brother Kazak in the Mississippi camp, who also did a response to this little segment of this video.
And you have all of the events with all of the other countries trying to go to space, trying to go to different,
trying to go to space.
Almost every country is trying to get to the moon, trying to get places, trying to get somewhere in this space race. I think it's personally because there is something way, way big coming. I don't know if you agree with that, Steve.
Well, I've heard some of those things as well, though, and that the technology that we have and things of that nature there, and some of the levitation craft they have, that some of the elite are planning on literally going out away from the earth when the bad parts of this system come through. And
which is exactly what they're planning on doing. Like I just said, these elites are going to go to their low orbit space stations, mountain bases, underground bases, underwater, etc., to try to escape the coming calamities and then come back to the surface after the dust settled. But it's all futile. Because again, you elites are going to be preserved from this coming destruction just so you can be the first fruits of slavery in the kingdom of heaven under the nation of Israel. That's it with this video. Now I'm going to get into some precepts. This is Isaiah 55 verse 11. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth, out of these scriptures, out of the mouths of the prophets of Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone, who goes out onto the highways and byways diligently preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles like this. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. You elites going into your hiding places, and then after the dust settles, the elect going from fishers to hunters, coming and grabbing you from your hiding places and slapping those chains of slavery onto you. This is Amos chapter 9. I'm going to read verse 1 to 3. I saw Yahweh standing upon the altar, and he said, Smite the lintel of the door, that the posts may shake, and cut them in the head, all of them, and I will slay the last of them with the sword. He that fleeth of them shall not flee away, and he that escapeth of them shall not be delivered. Again, you elites trying to flee from this coming destruction, hiding in your safe zones, and then the elect coming after you. Though they dig into hell, Thence shalt mine hand take them by the hands of his elect, those 144,000 hunters. And when it says though they dig into hell, that's not talking about them going into another dimension underground with Satan with a pitchfork. That's all Saturday morning cartoon nonsense. This is talking about them digging underground, going into those domes, those deep underground military bases. Though they climb up to heaven, going up to those low orbit space stations, thence will I bring them down. Verse 3, and though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, going into your mountain bases, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, your undersea bases and your luxury submarines, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. Not only are those 144,000 hunters going to be going underwater to get you, but also Leviathan's going to be getting some work in on you elites as well. And without sounding like a broken record, again, when the elect drag you elites out of your holes like the rats that you are, they're going to slap chains on you so you can serve as the first fruits of slavery in the kingdom of heaven. And this honor have all his saints, as it says in Psalms 149. And Yahweh willing, I'm of that number, so I can be one of the first ones to get their hands on you wicked elites. But this is Psalms 149 verse 4-9. For Yahweh taketh pleasure in his people, and his people only, the true children of Israel, who are again the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the Israelite foreigners who look like these heathen nations, but their seed line goes back to one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Yahweh Ba'Yishim Yahushai is not dealing with any of you heathen nations, not you Edomites or so-called white people, you Moabites or so-called Chinese people, Ishmaelites or so-called Arabs, Hamites or so-called Africans, Ammonites or so-called Japanese, Elamites or so-called East Indians, etc., etc. You all had a hand in afflicting the children of Israel. And you can go to Psalms chapter 83 to see the table of heathen nations that confederated themselves against the nation of Israel to try to cut them off from being a people. And at the top of that list are, of course, you Edomites. He will beautify the meek with salvation, first the elect, the 144,000, and the rest of the righteous 1/3, who are going to be the first fruits in the kingdom of heaven, and then the 2/3 of the nation of Israel, who were cut off for their wickedness on this side, but who are going to be reborn righteous in the kingdom of heaven through the loins of the elect. Let the saints be joyful in glory, let them sing aloud upon their beds, and the saints are only the Israelites. Go to Psalms chapter 50 verse 5 to see that the saints are those that made a covenant with the Most High, and the Israelites are the only nation that did make a covenant with the Most High. And you can further go to Psalms 147 verse 19 to 20, as well as Romans chapter 9 verse 1 to about verse 4 to see that Yahweh Ba'Yishim Yahushai is only dealing with the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel was the only nation that Yahweh Ba'Yishim Yahushai gave the laws, statutes, and commandments, covenants, and blessings to. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. Again, the elites of you Edomites, you Rothschilds, Rockefellers, DuPonts, Merovingians, Gettys, etc., etc., as well as the elites of these other heathen nations and the lower luminaries of all you heathen nations, you prime ministers, presidents, and even some of you rich men, for example, like Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, you name it. And that's even if you survive up until this point. To execute upon them the judgment written, this honor have all his saints. Praise ye Yahweh. And as it says back in Isaiah 55 verse 11, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please. Everything's been set in stone, and nothing will happen to avert these prophecies from coming to their fulfillment. And in the kingdom, when you elites aren't getting your backs beat in while building up the kingdom, you're going to spend your time at the feet of the Israelites worshiping us. I'm going to close it out in Isaiah 49, verse 23. And kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and their queens thy nursing mothers. They shall bow down to thee with their face toward the earth, and lick up the dust of thy feet. And thou shalt know that I am Yahweh, for they shall not be ashamed that wait for me. You elites are going to be the lowest of the low of the heathens in the kingdom of heaven. Like you elites made the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans look like the scum of the earth on this side, you're going to be the scum of the earth in the kingdom of heaven. So with this video, I hope you sincere Akim were edified. As you can clearly see, these prophecies are beginning to come to their fulfillment, so now more than ever, you should have all 10 toes down in this truth, pushing this word as hard as you possibly can to make your calling and election sure and be saved from these coming calamities of Jacob's trouble, so you can be one of those first fruits to get your hands on these elites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babol, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.